You hear that? This is gonna be a good video. Why is your favorite video game considered your favorite video game? Some people will relate to memories that have been created with a certain game. And when I think of memories, I think of about 2017 and 2018 Fortnite with my friend on spring and summer nights. There was something very special in the year 2018 that I still can't truly put my finger on. To this day, I think back on that year and think about what life was like and just overall how life was back then. Other people might say Minecraft and the experience on the console versions, which I have also experienced personally. Or you might be one of those guys that find the popularity and numbers of video games to be what makes it the best. Going back to Fortnite and Minecraft are some of the most famous and well-known video games due to how popular they were at the time. I never really had a specific genre of video game that I love personally. I've played many great games over the years that are completely different genres, from FIFA, WWE, Sly Cooper, Skylanders, Pokemon, Call of Duty, Smash Brothers, Mortal Kombat. The list honestly goes on. This game, however, will forever hold a special place in my heart. And that is because of the amount of content and overall how much stuff you can do in it. Little Big Planet is generally one of, if not the greatest video game to ever exist. Little Big Planet, or LBP, was a game where you play as this little sat creature going through levels and exploring the world around you. You can play through the story mode, which, not gonna lie, the LBP story modes, especially in the second game, has, in my opinion, stood the test of time pretty well. This game not only expressed the idea of creation, but also connectivity with friends and strangers around the world. Because it was introduced on the PlayStation 3, it utilized the online connectivity that came alongside it. It was able to do this because Little Big Planet was one of the first games to ever utilize the idea of user-generated content. And what that basically meant is people could share what they've created with other people, whether that be levels, character skins, creations that they made, etc. And that was the whole premise of the game. You could create different levels, change your avatar to so many different things. The customization in this game is so vast and diverse, you're bound to find something that you find interesting or fun. This game's story mode has unlockable content that helps you create different things. You could collect things such as stickers, new materials to help you build, new gadgets, etc. The one thing that I find very interesting about this game, though, is that they're all made with the same in-game level creator. From all the different speech bubbles, to the NPCs, to the terrain you walk on, or to the enemies that you defeat, to the surprisingly impressive platform that you complete throughout the campaign, you can very well recreate in the create mode. But before we get to all that, let's talk about the art style and design of Little Big Planet, because that was also a big part to why I like this game. I think art design is a very important part of a video game because it can set the tone of what people can expect when playing a game. And especially a game that's all about creating, getting the art style of creation and imagination is very, very important. But before we get into that, let's talk about another game that I really like a lot called Castle Crashers, which in my opinion has a very, very beautiful art style. The Behemoth, who are the developers of Castle Crashers and many other games alike, have a very distinct art style when creating their games, and it's my favorite art style of all time. They use these very vibrant and colorful palettes when designing characters and backgrounds that gives you a more comfortable and rather lighthearted feeling with the world that you're exploring. They also like to add little small jokes and references in their games, which add to the charm and feel of them. The characters also vary from being relatively simple to really intricate and complex. That's been expanded on with you being able to create your own characters using the new DLC that they introduced back in July. Now, with that being said, what type of vibe or tone does Little Big Planet have with its design? Well, everything looks and feels as if it's either stitched together or was man-made in some way, which reinforces the feeling of creation and childlike wonder. The pod that you reside in is literally made out of cardboard. The earth and moon that you use to browse levels looks like it's made out of cloth. Even the dialogue boxes and words look soft, like they're clouds and thought bubbles to represent brainstorming and imagination. And like I mentioned earlier, every level in the campaign was made by the create mode, which we'll discuss later on in the video. The main character that you play as is a literal blank slate. The Sackboy is a brown knitted creature with a zipper on its chest with cute black beady eyes. Not only is this design flawlessly adorable, but the fact that it's not wearing anything is genius since Sackboy is really just a canvas that you can use to change it to whatever you want. Everything about Little Big Planet, from the levels to the design of it, screams creativity. This game has great art design and puts great emphasis on its main theme of creating. But how does it introduce this to you? What exactly is the game's first impression?
On the Little Big Planet, you're a little sack person. This one is you. Oh, bless. You're quite a cute one. Now, to move around, use the left stick. Just push it a little for dainty tippy toes.
This is my favorite tutorial in any video game because of how calming and soothing the narrator Stephen Fry is. His soft voice just has this very cozy and nostalgic feeling to it that just fits the aesthetic of Little Big Planet perfectly. Stephen Fry being the narrator means he's the main person behind all the tutorials in the game and is your guide throughout the first level in the game. You hear him especially in the create mode when he teaches you about things in the tutorials. And speaking of that create mode, this create mode might just be one of the greatest things to ever come out of games entirely. This create mode allows you to do so much that it's not even funny, dude. And they keep growing on it every single game. The first game pretty much gave us everything that you'd want, like basic things like materials, a couple of gadgets, certain power-ups like a jetpack or a paint gun, to even putting some engineering parts like nuts and bolts or even motors. The second game added more things to the create mode, including two very important parts, the controlinator and sackpots. In the first game, there weren't any real characters other than the sack person that you control. All the NPCs were just objects with a mouthpiece, so the developers added on that by giving us completely programmable robots that we can change to whatever we can do. There's so many things that people have done with these characters, but my favorite things are creating enemies that you can defeat or run away from, and creating a robot that you can control and maneuver. The controlinator is probably the most important creation that LBP2 has introduced. It allows you to program anything so that you can control it. You can use the wires on the controller motherboard to connect to different things to give them their functions. With these new introductions, people got insanely creative with what they did. People created Mortal Kombat levels with large robots that can throw and pick people up. They made machines where you could move around and blow stuff up. There were endless possibilities on what you could make and what you could do. In the third game, they added 3 new characters. They added Toggle, which is like a 2 characters in one. They can shrink and grow to their larger and smaller counterparts, which both have their advantages and disadvantages. The smaller one can go into smaller holes, while the bigger one is stronger and heavier, being able to move objects with its weight much faster. You have Oddsock, which is sort of like a dog. Standing on all fours, Oddsock is the fastest character on foot in the game, and you're able to wall jump with him. Unfortunately, you can't grab anything with Oddsock, but the height and mobility is pretty great. And finally, you have Swoop, which is pretty much just a bird. He can fly, glide, and grab things while flying. With all of these new characters, people made very creative obstacle courses that test your skill with the character. They also added the blaster handle, which might be my favorite gadget in the entire franchise. It allowed you to create your own weapons. You could make swords that ignite, or make guns that shoot fire or plasma. You could create your own items that could do such extraordinary things. Now listen, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to say might sound like blasphemy, but you need to understand. This game's user-generated content is so massive, I genuinely believe that you need some sort of degree in coding or art design to be this great at creating stuff. People have been creating their own video games in Little Big Planet, and as a matter of fact, somebody literally remade Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3 in Little Big Planet. This is a video from about 2 years ago that I posted on my Snapchat story because I was just such in awe when I saw this for the first time. Just look at how polished and faithful this is to the original Five Nights at Freddy's games. It's unreal. This was Little Big Planet's selling point as a video game. You can make video games within a video game. 2 of my favorite types of levels that people would create were bomb survival maps and Mortal Kombat levels. Bomb survival maps were maps where you had to avoid getting blown up and dying. Some of these maps had very interesting layouts, like my favorite one was this SpongeBob train bomb survival, where you're on a train with SpongeBob characters and you could move to different parts of the train and even disconnect to different sections of the train. My funniest memories here were bringing my friends to the other side of the train and then just disconnecting it, leaving them to die. The other maps I loved playing were Mortal Kombat levels, and you can really only play these with other people. You control these robot suits and move them to do whatever you want, and your goal 9 out of 10 times was to throw your opponent out of the map and win. These were really fun and hilarious to play because of how dynamic and ridiculous the movement of these robots are. Now this is going to be a much smaller segment compared to the rest of the video, but I just want to talk about this game's music and how beautiful it is. Like most games talked about on this channel, this game has a phenomenal soundtrack. Every song in this game fits every single moment that you encounter in the game. From soft tracks like Left Blank 2, Get It Together, and even Volver a Comenzar. What I'm getting at is that the music in Little Big Planet might just be one of the greatest soundtracks in all of gaming. Now look, if you're a big LBP fan like myself, then you were probably either wondering or dreading me talking about this. Like I stated earlier, LBP's biggest draw was its online servers. It was the reason why you purchased the game. Sure, it had a story mode, but you'd only play it to unlock more things so that you could play in the create mode to publish stuff online. The servers were why you played the game. Starting in 2021, however, the servers of the LBP games were being attacked by hackers, and then slowly the developers Sumo Digital had to disable the servers from all the PlayStation 3 games, which included LBP 1, 2, and 3 for the PlayStation 3, and also the PlayStation Vita version. At first, I didn't really care since they were the PS3 versions, and I thought it was because nobody really played the servers that online games required for those consoles. Then January 2024 rolls around and takes down the servers of LBP 3 on the PlayStation 4, which absolutely broke me. All the levels that people made, all the memories and fun times that we've had with these games, they're all gone forever. And guess what? If you think it couldn't get any worse, then you're wrong. Because on October 31st, 2024, on Halloween, mind you, they take Little Big Planet off the PlayStation Store. How Sony absolutely dismantled it and didn't even try to save their best video game franchise ever will never not make me angry. Now, you could argue that there was no point in buying the game since you couldn't even play online anymore, which is fair, but to completely remove it on all platforms and pretty much forget like it never existed is extremely disrespectful to the developers and the fans that surround the game. If you ask me why I think they did this, it's probably because Sony wanted to fully replace their mascot with AstroBot instead of Sackboy. Since that same year when LBP3 was taken out of the PlayStation Store, AstroBot released with its new game and it became Game of the Year in 2024. But that's just what I think personally. You know, I wanted to do this video because growing up, Little Big Planet was my favorite game to pick up. It was like Roblox to me, but with much higher quality games. I say it's like Roblox, but better, because when you look at a Roblox game or level, you can clearly see that it's a Roblox level due to the characters and the designs of the levels. Compared to Little Big Planet, however, it's not even close, man. You could show the top 5 best community levels in the game to someone who's never played Little Big Planet, and I bet you they couldn't guess that they're all from the same game. This was my game and my experience that made me into who I am today. This game is the reason why I'm so creative and why I like to create things. This game unlocked the idea that anything is possible with enough work and dedication. When I learned that everything in this game was made by the developers with the in-game level creator, it absolutely blew my mind. I was eager to learn how logic, if-and statements, and overall programming and how it all worked. It amazed me looking at all the different community levels and seeing what people have come up with. Why I think I connected with this game, however, is that for me at least, what I saw when I looked at this game was not just love, not just care and good design, but self-expression personified. Yes, all of these levels are great and well made, but they also tell you a little something about the real life person who created the level as well. Yeah, you didn't think I was gonna get personal on you, did you? One thing that they seem to have in common is that they all loved working on these projects. The important lesson that I understood about these games and the community and people surrounding it was that you should just do what you love, man. In all aspects of life, you should do what you find fun without having anyone tell you otherwise. If you have a dream that you know you want to live out and experience, then do it. You are in control with your life and what you can accomplish. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, man. Little Big Planet holds such a very special place in my heart due to all the memories, the community surrounding it, and just the overall impact it's had on my upbringing as a person and a character. If it wasn't for Little Big Planet, I probably wouldn't be doing half the stuff I'm doing now. I'm drawing a lot more nowadays. I'm currently doing this YouTube channel, and I don't think I'd interact with most things in my life as I do now because of my mindset and creativity and of how I combat things and how I get through life. I'm gonna stop rambling. Bottom line is, this game means a lot to me, as I hope you guys could possibly tell. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've got a couple more videos on the way, and y'all take care, alright? Peace.